I live in Canada and we love eating cheese. Not kidding. This is Cold Kitchen Spicy Creamy Chicken Frozen Ramen. This frozen ramen has a unique cheddar cheese flavored broth. It tastes a lot like the Bolded Quadra cheese instant noodle. It uses chicken broth and is topped with chicken breast. And it only takes about 11 minutes on the stove. To be honest, I really did like the cheesy ramen broth. It had just enough spice for me, but the chicken breast could use some more work. But the question is, do you like to eat cheese? I live in Canada and we have a lot of vegans. Not kidding. This is Kokoro Rob's Vegan Hearty Miso Frozen Ramen. And since vegans don't consume any animal flesh or byproducts, it uses a really nice mushroom miso broth, topped with tofu, corn, fungus, bamboo shoots, and green onions on regular ramen noodles. It's a pretty big frozen ramen kit. Lots of hearty vegetables. Took about 12 minutes to cook. But I'm curious, is your country big on vegan? Another day, another frozen ramen for breakfast. This is Crafty Ramen Tofu Miso Ramen. This is the vegetarian-friendly frozen ramen kit. It uses miso veggie broth and has a crusted tofu and substitute for meat, topped with corn, bamboo shoots, and green onions. You can either nuke it or boil it for about 6 minutes. The noodles came out pretty nice. Crusted tofu had great texture. Today's question is, would vegetarians eat frozen ramen for breakfast? I live in Canada, and this is what I eat for breakfast. This is Ramen Ramen's tonkotsu frozen ramen. And just like my other frozen ramen kits, it comes with everything including the broth. Topped with pork slices on a bed of thick noodles. I popped this in the microwave for about 8 minutes. The broth was pretty savory and salty, but with a little bit hint of garlic and sesame. Pork slice had a really good texture. But today's question is, do you like your frozen ramen spicy or salty? Welcome to my series where I eat frozen ramen for breakfast. Today we have Franken Food Lab's vegan miso ramen with a package of frozen pork belly, and they used an organic soy-based broth with organic tofu, green onions, and spinach. And just like any tofu frozen ramen kits, don't overcook it or else the tofu will break apart. The broth tasted very healthy, but the pork belly added an extra layer of fat to it, and it worked really well with the thick noodles. Today's question is, do you buy organic foods? This is by far the coolest frozen ramen, no pun intended. It even comes with a miso butter shaped as a Lego man. This is Crafty Ramen Pork Miso Ramen. The question I get asked most is, where do I buy my frozen ramens from? I got this from Walmart for $10. It comes with miso chicken broth, corn, cabbage, menma, and carrot. It takes 6 minutes for the Lego man to melt all over that pork belly. But the question is, why can't we standardize eating ramen for breakfast? Day 9 of eating frozen ramen for breakfast. Today we have the Gyokai Takatu Shoyu frozen ramen, and this is also one of the only frozen ramen kits that I've seen that has fish broth. So the fish broth is made of sardines and the tonkotsu is made of pork. They mix it together to make this really creamy umami flavored broth. It comes with 2 big pieces of pork chashu. If you really like a fishy broth, this is for you. For me, I'm not a big seafood person, so I think I'd pass. I live in Canada. Sorry, was that too much? Just kidding. But I am continuing to eat through my frozen ramen for breakfast, and this is probably the biggest frozen ramen that I have ever seen. This is the Umami miso butter frozen ramen kit, and it's topped with pork, corn, green onions, fungus, and a slab of butter. Because of its size, I decided to cook it in the pot and just watch the candle melt. Surprisingly, it only took 9 minutes from start to finish. You can really taste that umami flavor loaded with tons of ingredients, and probably one of the heartiest breakfasts I've ever had. Now, do you want to eat frozen ramen for breakfast? Frozen ramen in Japan just hits differently. That's because a lot of popular spots offer the frozen version. This is Kenroy Sapero Miso Ramen, also known as a fire-starting miso. It comes with a thick soup base mixed with minced pork, onions, and peaches on medium frizzy noodles. It has a very strong ginger aroma. That's not really for everyone. The total cost is $2.35, and I could eat this all day. This is the cheapest frozen ramen that I found, and when a frozen ramen is this cheap, you start to wonder what they use for ingredients. This is the Pickled Vegetable with shredded pork frozen ramen kit, and it only costs $1.11. I really love the vegetables. Salty, sour, with a bit of a crunch. They used a silky, tender pork that was nicely marinated, but my favorite was the pickled broth that went very nice with the noodles. As long as I don't get the runs tomorrow, I would put this in the GOAT tier. I am so excited to try this new frozen ramen kit. The fatty pork looks so good and it even comes with butter on top. This is the Ichiban miso. After nuking it, the fatty pork shrunk 75% in size. The fat from the pork melted all into the broth. It was the best pork I've ever had for a frozen ramen. It was so tender and tasty, I only wish there was more. The noodles were still a bit doughy. The miso soup was good, but wasn't anything too special. But overall, I would have to put this in an SS tier. Welcome to my series where I eat frozen ramen for breakfast. And today we are in Japan just to eat Chinese style frozen ramen. Hey Meta, start recording. But what makes this ramen so special is that you can buy it from Amazon and it gets shipped the same day. And it takes only 5 minutes to warm up. Pork was so tender and was served on a soy sauce broth, but it tasted more like a seafood broth to me and didn't have too much flavor. Luckily, I had this extra egg and soy sauce package. Mixing that egg and soy just made it so much better. I live in Canada and this is what I eat for breakfast. Just kidding, not really. This is premium beef pho. This is the closest to pho that I'll ever get. It's jam-packed with beef balls, rice vermicelli, some frozen broth, and a lot of sodium. Very similar to frozen ramen. All you have to do is microwave it or boil it on the stove for about 5-6 minutes, add your noodles, and you're good to go. But the real question is, what's your favorite hangover food? I am eating through my frozen ramen collection and found this Namayaki Udon kit in my freezer. It costs just $18. What I like about this kit is the thick, chewy udon noodles and a flavorful dashi broth. But I don't get the part why some Japanese cuisines like to put their deep fried items like tempura shrimp on their soups. The tempura just gets soggy and disintegrates in the broth. Do you feel the same? This is a limited edition frozen ramen from Franken Food Labs. Sapporo style frozen ramen is known for the crinkled noodles and miso broth. The broth was really good, however, I felt like it needed a little bit more flavor. I thought the noodles were actually really good. It was very chewy and elasticy, which I really liked. The broth, I felt like it needed a little bit more flavor. That's why on our frozen ramen tier list, I would have to give this one a double S. I am eating frozen ramen for dinner because I have nothing else to eat. This is limited edition Tantan Men from Franken Food Labs, and you can nuke it for about 7 minutes if you're feeling lazy. I was looking for something spicy to warm up, but unfortunately this frozen ramen did not have enough taste, and after mixing the noodles, the toppings just disappeared. I felt like I was eating watered down noodles. I'm making a frozen ramen tier list, and would have to put this on the bottom. I am trying one of the most expensive frozen udon kits in Canada. This is the Menteiko Cream Udon Kit, and it costs just over $22 after taxes. What I think makes this kit so special is the rich creamy sauce that's loaded with tons of umami flavor. But with this price point, I would have expected a bit more toppings. I felt like it wasn't really worth that price. I'm not much of a seafood lover, so my opinion might be skewed. I am eating frozen ramen for breakfast until we can find out which is the greatest of all time. So I'm a bit sad today because I got these frozen ramen kits delivered to my hotel room and found out that there was no microwave in my room. This is the famous Yokozuna soy sauce flavored ramen, and they've been around for over 40 years. The broth had a rich yet refreshing flavor. The pork, even though small, was savory, slightly sweet, and rich, but really tender. I would definitely give this a 9 out of 10. Did you know that there's a warning sign on these ramen packages? That's because a lot of people have been cooking them without removing the plastic. So much so that the company decided to put a warning sticker on. Imagine microwaving the plastic with it. I don't know how people didn't notice. But this is the Hakata Tonkatsu frozen ramen kit. It has a milky and thicker pork broth. That's why it's so white. It's a lot richer than the traditional tonkatsu, so you gotta watch your sodium intake for the day.